Welcome to the Miniatures Paintbrush. Today we're going to talk a little bit about terrain features and kind of what it means to have terrain on a table. But first, I wanted to start off with a little hobby progress. A couple of things that I've been working on. I'm going to switch it over to my desk. I'm going to go table down here. If you could bear with me here. Whoa, there we go. All right, so working on the Sacristan Forge Shrine. So I'm working here on some panels. I have this guy right here that I'm working with, some metal pieces, painted that white, trying to get that old beige look. This has come from a wash that I actually made myself. I have it right here. It's called Terrain Wash. And then I used a bunch of inks and matte medium in order to create that kind of weathery look. And it's something that I needed a lot of volume for because I was going to repeat the process throughout my terrain. Now I'm going to turn it over to the Sacristan Forge Shrine that I have over here that I had actually put together so far. So what I did was, I'm going to show you top down here just a little bit, as I do a couple of wires as well on the inside of these trusses there, and inside here as well. So that is also getting done, and of course the back side there, so the hobby progress. This stuff is coming along pretty well, if you can see all the little details as best as I can with all the lighting that I can now. I'm going to slowly not make anyone dizzy and pull you over here. So that's what I've been working on this week for the Sacristan Forge Shrine, trying to get that done. And this is what happens. I had a lot, and I'm just going to put you up here so you don't get dizzy. And I'm going to shut this big light off because this is like really bright. And that big light off because that's also a little bit bright. And I'm kind of... there. Okay, there you go. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, well, some news. Well, in the Warhammer community, we're actually looking at a lot of different factions for Chaos, which is really good for Chaos people who want to play things like Night Lords and other kind of factions. And it's really great because I never learned so much about like the Night Lords, and I learned so much about different kinds of factions that I didn't even know about, like their characteristics. Like, I'm saying Night Lords a lot because I really like the way the mechanics use fear in order to get people to run away from the table, and they have fear multipliers. Like, it's just the way it's just so surrounded by that it really encompasses the army and it gives it a real big theme. And I do like that. I like that I get to know a little bit more about, you know, what people are playing, because with all these Chaos models coming onto the scene, if you are a new player, you kind of want to get an idea of what each army kind of does when you're getting on the table, so you know how to either prepare for it in somehow, or at least don't get blindsided. I always mention that, you know, when a game is uninterested is because somebody get completely blindsided and they had no chance whatsoever to win. You know, at that point, what's the point of playing? If you have no chance, zero chance, I don't see a, hey, let's play this game of cards, you will lose. Like, I don't see why that would be fun for anyone except for the winner at that point. But, you know, at the same time. So we have knowing army and getting to start to know other people's army and knowing your army well. I think it goes through stages. Like, I'm starting to learn that I need to learn my army first and then start branching out, which is the stage I'm on. I'm starting to learn my army and then start branching out so I know what to expect from other people's army. So if I ever get across from them, I know if I get across from a Thousand Suns players, they're going to be shooting a whole bunch of psychic. Like, their psychic phase is dominant, right? My fighting phase is dominant for Space Wolves, you know, charging in and doing that. That's my dominant phase. Although, you know, having the Wolf Priest now and all the abilities with that, it's kind of interesting how that synergizes with everything else. But, you know, kind of knowing that is really, really important. Another thing you're going to need to know if you're new into the hobby and kind of want to put some pieces down is where to field your army in the beginning of a game, right? So terrain actually plays a really important part to that, to your strategy. But I also believe, and I want to take it to a next level, Doug over at 2+ Tough was talking about this, and I thought it was an intriguing topic. I wanted to expand upon it. And that's how terrain is the third player. If you're playing two people, it's the third player in that scenario. What I'm saying is that when you play a game, it's kind of cool when your armies are both painted and everything is ready to go. And then it's also kind of cool if your terrain isn't a can of soda. I mean, it can be a can of soda, but it's like, you know, a can of soda maybe with some 3D printed material in there, painted up to make it look like a can, like a big oil drum or something like that. That's cool, but just literally a can of soda or some Pringles, I mean, it's okay, but, you know, it's not, you know, it's like having a gray army. It's okay, but, you know, it's kind of cool if you have the army kind of painted to a decent standard, or at least a tabletop standard or above. Then that really makes the game more intriguing, in my opinion. But the same goes with terrain. People ask me, you say, Rob, why are you painting up all this terrain for? Why are you going, you know, all these details on the terrain and spending time and lavishing time on terrain? It's just terrain. And I'm like, it's not just terrain. It enhances the experience of my game. Also, if I want to take pictures and put terrain in the background for like to have like a diorama kind of picture, or have like a really one of those, I guess, action shots or something, so that this way it looks dynamic when I'm taking pictures of my miniatures, then definitely I want the terrain to look the part. And I started out with not caring about terrain, but the more I looked into it, the more I want to put a little more detail into my terrain to really make it pop, to really make it shine on the table. This way, when I play a game of 40K, it's immersive, but even just to have it as a background for my pictures, it's immersive, and I like that. I like that I get that opportunity to have terrain that really looks great on a table. So having terrain is great for the looks aspect of it, but there's also another aspect that you really need to take into account. Recently, I'm not saying recently, I'm saying within the last couple of, I don't know, 3-4 years, 3 years maybe, terrain started getting a lot of rules to them. And what I'm saying, you can notice this a lot with AOS terrain, that it seems like every time they're coming out with a battle tome, oh, I got that right. Every time they come out with a battle tome, it seems like they're going to come out with some endless spells for the faction, and they're also coming out with a bit of terrain. I'm taking a look at the actual Flesh Eater Courts, right? And their terrain piece is that shrine that they have there, and that looks really, really appealing to me. So, and the Adnet Deacon, the ship, there's so many things that are out there for AOS that looks just so compelling to paint, and so compelling to have on the table and decorate it. So I'm excited to get that out. But notice that each thing has a rules. Now, it started with the Sylvaneth having the Wildwoods, and that was like, you know, you can have Wildwoods on your table, but if Sylvaneth are there, you know, that's their Wildwoods. They get to control it. There's an aura ability around it that can actually harm your other players if you get too close to it, you know. And there's like so many dynamic things that you have to worry about. And it adds a dimension to the game. I think it adds more to the game of AOS, but it's just not just for AOS. Now, the release of Chapter Approved 2019, they actually had rules for the energy strips and anything with the energy conduits on the table, where if you stand next to it, yeah, you get the cover, but if you got to roll, and if you roll poorly, you're going to get damaged just by having the cover, taking cover in those instances. So the Sacristan War Shrine, in which I'm actually building right now, if you have a Knight Titan on the table, you can actually repair the Knight Titan at the Sacristan War Shrine. So that's definitely adding another dimension to the game. So terrain isn't just scattered terrain anymore. You know, terrain is, in my opinion, has grown up. It's gotten to a new level where you can use rules with it. You have to really take into consideration where you are on the field, not just in deployment this time, but throughout the game, because that actually can influence and push your game, push the pendulum, make it swing from one end to the other for victory. And I think that just adds excitement to the game. You know, terrain is really, really important in the game, for me anyway. So I do not mind actually dedicating taking time and the effort to making it look right and actually being thoughtful about it and putting together terrain that's meaningful. Okay. Well, I want to know, what do you think of terrain? Are Pringles and soda cans and things that are like maybe a pasta box or maybe some Cheetos box? I don't know. Does Cheetos have boxes? I don't know, Cheez-Its. I don't know. Is that enough for you? So let me know in the comment below, what do you think about terrain? And how does it influence your games? Well, I do want to give a shout out to my buddy Jay Stone, who actually started up a channel called Everything Under One Banner. And yeah, he's been a friend of mine since I was a kid. I had to give my brother a shout out, Jay Stone. All right, just got to do that because you're amazing, dude. Well, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.